to the computer. Okay, welcome to the meeting of the National Celiac Association, Tennessee. I'm glad you're here, those who are in person and those who are in Zoom. The virtual support group for caregivers is going to be meeting on April 16th at 5:15, and that's coming up. The support for young adults was last week, and I don't know, maybe Michael can share some of the things that they did. Okay. The next meeting of the whole group, it will be on May 17th, and we have secured the pavilion at River Park in Brentwood, which is right across the street from the Brentwood Library that's on Concord Road. And the time that we got was not a lunchtime. It was 10:30 to 12:30. So we're going to have another brunch. We had a brunch several years ago, and I thought it was a lot of fun because we had different kind of foods, and it was not just picnic stuff, but it was casseroles and baked goods and all kinds of wonderful things that people brought. So we're looking forward to that. We're still working on plans for a pool party sometime in June or July. I'm looking at Cheryl so that she has. We're still working on that. We needed to make the schedule for that sometime. And then our next official meeting would be August 16th. And we're probably going to be working a lot with Find Me Gluten-Free folks to help us get our recommendations of restaurants into them. It's a whole process. So we're looking forward to the August meeting. And then our annual potluck is November 15th. And that's always our biggest meeting with families. And families should come to the picnic too, but families generally always come to the potluck. Okay. Our speaker today is DeenaAbbe. She's a PhD and licensed psychologist and serves as a member of the board of the National Celiac Association. And she's worked with her local groups, and she's been past president of the association and things like that. She's very experienced. She's going to talk to us. We've asked her to talk to us a little about living with gluten-free diet and about the kinds of problems that we encounter and how we can overcome those and live a safe and yet out and about friendly life with our friends and family and social people. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Abby. Now that's the problem. I'm not sure how to get that for her to be speaker. Can that you put that on speaker? Yes, she can. Okay. Super.
Hi, my name is DeenaAbbe. I'm a psychologist. I just wanted to clarify. Let me figure out how to share my screen. I supposed to be this one. Here we go. Okay. Just to clarify, I'm a psychologist here in New York, and I was president of the Suffolk County Psych Association. So I'm very involved in the world of psychology, and I was involved very much in the New York State Psych Association. And I'm going to speak about living with celiac disease, and being gluten-free in social situations with less stress. If anyone has any questions, please just kind of interrupt. I don't mind.
Oh, Deena, I was going to say we do have a microphone here, but there's only two people in the audience. And if they have a question, they can come to the microphone to be clearly heard. But actually, we're hearing quite well in this room right now. So, because of that microphone. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So especially when we're newly diagnosed, or we go to a new place, why do we stress about being gluten-free? Let's see. We stress about cooking and eating out. How do we find food? How do we do this? How do I make my kitchen safe? We stress about traveling. Where do we go? We have to accommodate ourselves and others. We have family members who aren't, or we have family members who are gluten-free, and everybody needs to be happy. We have relationships we still need to maintain. How is that going to impact friendships if I can't eat with everybody or if my child can't go to the local pizza place and hang out? So we have, again, various obligations when we have to make a party or, whatever it is that we're doing. There's a lot of reasons that we are nervous and stressed about being gluten-free, and that's okay. There are many different ways that we experience that stress. Stress is necessary. It acts as a built-in alarm system for the body, and it produces cortisol, which is a hormone that's made by the adrenal gland. That's right above our kidneys. Um, it activates the sympathetic nervous system that oversees that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. So cortisol and epinephrine cause the heart to beat faster, cause the breathing to speed up, and the blood vessels in the arms and legs to dilate, all of which help us, in those situations where it's either us or the saber-toothed tiger, uh, for us to be able to run away. It also causes the digestive processes to slow down because the energy is being directed elsewhere. And it causes glucose, which is fuels our energy in the bloodstream to increase to feed all the bodily functions. So we feel heart palpitations and our stomach hurts, and we can't catch our breath and we just don't feel right. Cortisol is one of the stress hormones that regulates the immune system and it affects inflammation. Chronic stress, there's too much cortisol, can impair the communication between the immune system and the brain. So, yeah, if you're stressed in any sort of situation, especially regarding food, you're gonna feel sick or you're gonna get sick. This is really common. You're not making it up, it's not all in your head. Stress can increase or decrease our appetite, or cause us to seek out different comfort foods, which may or may not make us feel better in the long run. After a while, pretzels just, or gluten-free pretzels, they're my go-to, just don't cut it anymore. And so that unhealthy diet, along with all those fun foods that we might grab when we're stressed, tend to be filled with carbs and sugar. We know that is true, especially for the pre-made gluten-free stuff, the prepared gluten-free foods, which are going to lead to those up and down mood swings and behavioral changes, right? The carbs are that quick energy with the sugar, and then they crash quickly, and then we reach out more. So we have that kind of up and down. When we feel this way, when our body doesn't feel right, when our mood isn't right, we're less available to use any strategies that we have to handle stress. So we not only have this feeling of stress, but we also aren't able to do anything about it. And so we're just kind of on this crazy roller coaster. We feel things, especially pain, when we're stressed. And again, it affects quickly how the body moves through, I'm sorry, it affects how food moves through the body. It induces muscle spasm. It affects which nutrients are absorbed by the intestines. So, um, how do we experience stress? There's those elevated cortisol levels. We don't sleep well. We have headaches. It also will increase inflammation within our body. We have reduced pain tolerance. I had mentioned the shortness of breath. So the increased stress activates the sympathetic nervous system, which increases the production of cortisol levels, which then increase all of these feelings, which then increase stress. So it's a vicious cycle. When we're talking about food, we all eat food all the time. Food is our comfort. Food is how we interact with other people. It's a huge part of our daily life, and so it makes sense that when we're diagnosed, we are going to feel more stress. But if we can contain our own emotions, if we can learn how to handle that stress and how to handle our diet safely, we don't get into this difficult loop. Okay, so what can we do? Well, we have to come into any situation being prepared, right? Once we're prepared and we have some knowledge, we're not going to be as stressed and nervous. So we have to know what's safe for us to eat. We can have fruits, we can have vegetables, we know protein. Oops, let me go back. Um, nope, no, so sorry. There we go. A variety of proteins we can have any of the meat, any of the fish, any of the poultry, nuts, seeds, beans. These are all safe for people who have celiac disease to eat. Dairy is fine. The grains and the starches are where some things get a little tricky, right? We know potatoes are good. We know rice is good. Some of the ancient grains are good. Um, we're looking for whole grains, right? The more processed or ultra processed, the less nutrients we're going to get. Um, and if we can, if it's a safe place, right? If it's someone who knows celiac, if it's someone whose house is safe, or a restaurant whose kitchen is safe, those homemade cookies and muffins with whole grains are always going to be better than anything store bought. The National Celiac Association has some really, really awesome guides, though, that I wanted to show you so that you can pull them up when you need and you don't have to stress about it. So, the complete guide to living gluten-free, let's see if it'll load. Here we go. Tells us all about celiac disease, other related conditions. I call them like the friends and family that come along with being gluten-free. Um, about how to make adjustments in your life, your kitchen, various ingredients, how to shop, how to read labels, how to travel. You don't have to come up with all of this on your own. This exists already, and it's easy to find if you know what you're looking for. The NCA also has an awesome budget guide so that you're not spending a huge amount of money buying things, right? What can we eat? Where can we look? How can we plan and prepare so that you're not stuck with all of this expensive food? Or, what can I buy that's on sale? It just helps you, especially if you're new to gluten-free. It can be very overwhelming. You don't have to stop eating out when you're gluten-free. The NCA does have these awesome dining cards, and they're in various different languages. So if you're in Spain, or you're in Sweden, you can just hand them a card. Most of the time they do speak English, but just in case, in that language so that they know, listen, I have celiac, gluten-free, what can I eat? They also have an awesome restaurant map. There are other websites and apps if you would like as well. I can speak for sure on the NCA ones. That will tell you wherever you are, right? What type of food, you enter the location, and it'll give you a whole host of places that you can eat safely and you don't have to worry about it. This one. Sometimes, again, the more information you have, the less stressed you'll be. What does it mean to be gluten certified? Does heat kill gluten? People have told me I could have Cuervo, and I was like, no, you can't. So all of these questions, you don't have to listen to your friend's friend who knows somebody. All of these things can be looked up, and they're here. We also have ROC, which is Raising Our Celiac Kids, which I've worked with before. How to talk to daycare, how to talk to school, what happens when you go to college, right? I went to my son's college and I said, so how can he eat? And she showed me an entirely locked separate cafeteria room that was within the main cafeteria for him. He could have whatever he wants. All of these toaster ovens and ovens are safe for him. All of these cabinets are clearly labeled. So he didn't have to worry about that. And there are support groups and summer camps that you can look up right here so that, again, you're not alone, but you don't have to figure this out on your own. College resources, prior to applying, what should I be looking for? How do I live on campus? How do I go away? What do I say to my roommate? What should I look out for alcohol? All of these are really important things. On the flip side, or the other end of the spectrum, we also have resources for seniors, right? We have senior advocacy. What do we do in assisted living facilities? How do we get gluten-free meals? We even have a meal prep guide for food service providers. All of this is to say, the more information you have, again, and product alerts and recalls, the more information you have, the less stressed you're going to be. What happens if you go out or you're getting together with friends? You have to have a plan beforehand. It's unless you know the area, or these are people you're familiar with that know what's going on with you. It's always better to plan beforehand than just kind of wing it. Know where you're going and when you're going to go. It's better to know the menu and look it up beforehand. Worst case scenario, you go to a friend's house, you bring your own food so that you know that you're comfortable and you're safe. Because if you're not comfortable, don't eat the food. If need be, ask to choose the restaurant. Most people will be understanding of that. It's important to have boundaries and say, no, I can't do this, or yes, I can do this. Ask questions before you decide to go there, even if that means calling up the restaurant and saying, hey, when you say you have gluten-free pasta, do you boil it in the same water as the regular pasta?
They do.
You could always ask to host. If you're not comfortable with going to someone's house, it could be at yours. Again, or you could bring your own food. No worries. I'll supply the fill in the blank, the pasta salad, you know. It's also important for you guys to know yourself. If things don't, this is where the stress management part comes in. If you don't expect everything to go perfectly, you're going to be more flexible and you'll be calmer and you'll allow things to occur as they will without stressing out more and then feeling terrible. You'll let things happen. I don't know why that did twice. Are you reaching for your 15th cookie? How often are you going to the bathroom? The calmer you are, the calmer everybody else is, and the easier you'll be able to attain calm and stay calm. So I have 3 ways that I suggest to remain calm or to find your calm when you get stressed out, especially when it comes to food. I always prefer giving suggestions for relaxation techniques that are subtle, that no one necessarily is going to know what you're doing and you can do them anywhere. There are 3 different videos though. Before I start the videos, I know I went pretty quickly. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, did you say there's the NCA app has restaurant guide so you can look up where to eat in different cities?
Yep.
Okay.
I
Oh,
know that the website does. I shouldn't say the app. I know the website for sure does. I didn't check the app.
Okay. I didn't know there was an app.
we were wondering if there was a particular college you were talking about, and if
So,
there's some kind of listing of colleges.
um, most colleges nowadays can accommodate easily gluten-free. Years and years ago, 20 years ago, it was much harder.
Really?
Now it's super easy. So one of my sons, my third son goes to James Madison in Virginia. And there's in the main cafeteria, there's like a room that's off to the side that's clearly labeled, and it has a key so everyone can't get in, but it's accessible 24 hours a day. And it has chicken nuggets and rolls and all the food that they could want. All the drawers are clearly labeled, this is nut free, this is gluten free. And they have separate toaster ovens and separate regular ovens so that he can eat with everybody else, eat the food that everyone else is eating, but it's totally safe and separate. On top of that, and I'm going to my with my daughter college, shopping now. Every single cafeteria I've ever been to, and his as well. When you walk into the cafeteria, each station has it labeled. Oh, we can have this. We can have this. This is gluten free. It's clearly labeled at each cafeteria
That's
station.
wonderful.
Yeah.
One of our students who was affiliated with us because she talked to us when she visited the college, it took her 4 years at
Oh,
Vanderbilt, all 4 years to get them to have a place where they could actually get all the allergens. They actually ended up with a restaurant, but I've heard lately that it got closed. So I
oh,
don't
that's
know.
horrible.
It doesn't happen everywhere.
Oh, I'm really surprised. I have another son who goes to Boulder, and he's graduating this year, and it was never a problem in Boulder. In fact, I found Boulder to be unbelievably gluten-free friendly. And I have one other son in Europe who went to college in Europe, and that one was a little more difficult.
Mhm.
But he managed. Everyone manages.
Amy, can you hear a question? Yeah, come over here.
Sit down here.
Okay.
I thought that was picking up everything.
Okay.
There you go.
Hi, Abby, I have a concern. And it would apply to a student in a college situation, but to anybody dining out. If something is labeled gluten-free, when I see other people take something and put it on their plate, they might have something on their plate that's not gluten-free. And if that serving utensil touches food on their plate and then goes back into the gluten-free food, now that whole container is contaminated.
Yeah.
So, I was just at a women's book study. It was through my church. And I took a dish. It was a chicken salad. It was a warm chicken salad. So I had this fresh spinach and I had the oranges and red onion. Then I had that warm chicken on top. But anyway, the thing is that I said, if you don't mind, I'm going to go first. And then after that, I won't be eating any more of this. So that way I didn't care if they touched whatever other salads and items were on their plate, but I would not go back to that dish and eat anymore, not knowing what cross-contamination would be there. So how does a student handle that?
So I have to tell you, when I went to James Madison, only because this is the most recent experience I had, no, I went to some places in Pennsylvania also. They were really good too. So at James Madison, when I went up to the Chinese station in their cafeteria, and I was like, really? I could eat this? And the chef there was like, absolutely. I said, okay, well, I have celiac. He got me rice from the back. So it wasn't even, because there's always someone at every station at the universities, unless you're going to the buffet, which I never recommend because you can't control for cross-contamination. He gave me the rice from the back, he gave me the chicken from the back, everything was from the back. So it wasn't a question of cross-contamination. I often suggest people saying, can I take first? This way, if you don't mind. I recently went to Bucknell with my daughter, and they had a waffle station that was gluten-free. And she stripped off her gloves. It was a whole different waffle iron with different, waffle mix. And so everything was separate. A lot of them will say, oh, is it a preference or an allergy? And once you say, no, it's celiac, it's like an allergy, their protocol is different. But the colleges that I've been to have been wonderful.
So that allergy room did you say James Madison?
Yeah.
And you have a key and you go in there? But
No, the dietitian has a key. So you have to find someone else.
Oh, okay. So you talk to the dietitian and she goes into that room and gets your meal for you.
Nope.
No?
So my son would go over to the dietitian and say, hey, listen, I have like 45 minutes for lunch. And she'd be like, great. And she would let him in. And that's it. Everything there is very clearly labeled. And the kids who are in there are severe enough that they need totally separate food. So the nut allergy kids aren't going to use the gluten-free toaster because ours could be contaminated with nuts. So they don't want to go near it either.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then the same concern applies to assisted living, or if you need to be in skilled care, say you have broken your hip and you need to be, in skilled care for a while. I'm afraid of being there in a few years.
Yeah.
Well, I was there just a few years ago with my back surgery, and one place was excellent. And there was one time when I got something that I knew wasn't what I ordered. And it wasn't what I ordered because they had given my meal to someone else by mistake. But I called to the kitchen and said, I didn't get what I ordered. And they brought it to me within 30 minutes. And they had to cook it again. But I was also in another place which said they could do gluten-free. And there was absolutely nothing gluten-free naturally on their menu except a salad that didn't have croutons in it. And I ate one of those every day. and for lunch. And the fourth day, it had croutons all in it. And I had to send it back. And the man was furious that he'd made this salad for me. And I wasn't going to eat it. And I said, I can't have croutons. And I showed him the menu. It doesn't say croutons on this salad. He just added them to be nice, I suppose. But you
Yeah.
do have to be extra vigilant.
Yeah. Yeah,
Does-
there are guides. The NCA does have guides to help with the assisted living facilities and nursing facilities and hospitals. We also help advocate. So if you have a problem, we have people who can come and help.
Okay.
Hospitals, you have to watch out for. We've had mixed in hospitals. Thankfully, most of the time the food that they serve is packaged. So I don't have to worry so much about cross-contamination, because the roll is in a self-contained package. I move it and I say, can you just double check this piece here?
My mother was in memory care and she wasn't on a gluten-free diet, but we had asked about a gluten-free diet. They won't accommodate any special diets.
That's what one place.
So,
That's
yeah, and
crazy.
there's nothing that can be done. I mean, what does a person do?
Well, isn't that why the amicus brief was just filed?
I was just going to say, yeah, we
Okay.
just had something filed about this. Yeah, you call up NCA and we can help with that. Yeah. Yeah, they should absolutely be able to feed them.
Newsletter. It just came out this week.
Mhm.
I just scanned it to see if there was anything I wanted to bring up today. And that was the only thing that just struck me was because I've been through this thing too. The amicus brief was filed with NCA or with the court on a case that is exactly a case of senior living and not providing. And they hope that will allow it to enforce the fact that yes, you have to provide gluten-free food if this person is gluten-free.
Mhm.
We're not the only ones who wrote the amicus brief. I think there are other organizations that signed on also or are writing
Yes,
their own
there are.
amicus brief for it.
Yeah, but the newsletter was talking about NCA's amicus brief, but yes, I think there were other organizations that were with them too, to try to get that whatever ruling would be passed.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Were there any other questions before I went on to some quick techniques?
Any more questions? Now let's go ahead then, Deena.
Okay. So this is a 4-7-8 technique. 4-7-8 breathing. If I work with children, so I'm going to
You
apologize.
don't have your system up yet.
Oh, it didn't come up yet?
Nope.
Let me try again.
There we go. There we go.
Here we go. Okay. This is crazy. Let me see if I can go quicker through it. Nope.
It doesn't seem to want to let you go back
No,
where you were.
no love. Okay.
There
I
we
work with children. I'm apologizing beforehand. This is a cartoon I use with kids to discuss or to teach 4-7-8 breathing. And there's cyclic breathing, which is a little harder, which I'm going to show later. Getting together with people you enjoy. All of these are ways to remain calm. Is it playing for you guys?
The film is going. I don't hear an audio.
Let me ask you something.
There it is.
You're nervous or afraid. What is your breathing like?
I guess I breathe faster.
Yeah, me too. You. Right. You tend to take short, quick, shallow breaths that make you feel worse. Well, today I'm going to teach you how to take long, slow, deep breaths that will help you calm down when you feel nervous or afraid. And if you practice this breathing exercise regularly, you will be able to train Whittle to be calmer. Oh, I like the sound of that. This is called 4-7-8 breathing. So you want to start out by sitting straight up like this. Now, a lot of times when we breathe in from our chests, up here. But today we're going to breathe from a lot lower, from our diaphragm. What? Your diaphragm is right here, by your stomach. Think of it as a balloon underneath your rib cage. Oh, okay. First, you breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Take a long, deep breath like you're filling up that balloon in your stomach. Then we're going to hold it for 7 seconds. And finally, we're going to slowly exhale through our mouths for 8 seconds.
So the actual number doesn't really matter as long as it's a shorter number and then a longer number and then an even longer number. So 4-7-8 breathing, no one has to know what you're doing, but it will engage your parasympathetic nervous system to kind of override that fight, flight, response that you're having.
Pretend like there's a tiny hole in the balloon.
There's also progressive muscle relaxation. This is the cyclic breathing. Again, when we plan stress release activities, vigorous exercise, which we can't always do, mindfulness meditation. I'm a big fan of that because then you can just recognize kind of how you're feeling stressed right now and label it and not feel it. But the cyclic breathing is very interesting, and we're finding a lot of data on this technique that really, really helps keep our calm.
Aims to trigger self-soothing reactions from the parasympathetic nervous system.
So show me what cyclic sighing is all about.
Here's what it is. So inhale through your nose, hold. Now fully inhale as much as you can. Fill your lungs, and now slowly exhale through your mouth.
Feel relaxed already.
Good. I like that. That's good. Let's try one more time.
Okay.
Inhale.
Okay, when you say inhale halfway kind of?
Yeah, halfway. That's
Okay.
right. Hold. And now fully inhale. Fill your lungs. And then slowly exhale through your mouth.
Do I look more relaxed?
You do look more relaxed. You do.
And that exhale, again, should be almost twice as long as the inhale. And we have a lot of data. And a lot of studies are being done on this that show us the effect and how much it helps really quickly calm us down so that when you get overwhelmed. Let's see if I can. Here we go. Oh, and then a grounding technique. I have with kids, I use a chuck it bucket. So when you have these perseverative thoughts and they don't stop, they keep popping up, you write it down, you put it in the chuck it bucket, you come back either later that night or later that week, and you can look at it. If it's still, bothering you, you put it back in, look at it later. And if not, you throw it out. And usually you throw it out. We know music helps, communicating and keeping people around you who really understand. I had a friend who always kept gluten-free cookies for me in her freezer so that whenever I came over for whatever reason, she could just pull them out. That always helps. So this is a really great grounding technique. Again, once you know how to do it, it takes about 15 seconds, maybe less.
This technique will take you through your 5 senses to help remind you of the present. This is a calming technique that can help you get through tough or stressful situations. Take a deep belly breath to begin. Number 5, look around for 5 things that you can see and say them out loud. For example, you could say, I see a burger. I see a bird. I see a soccer ball. Number 4, feel. Pay attention to your body and think of 4 things that you can feel and say them out loud. For example, you could say, I feel my feet warm in my socks. I feel the hair on the back of my neck. Or I feel the pillow I'm sitting on. Number 3, listen. Listen for 3 sounds. Say the things out loud. It could be the sound of running feet, an airplane flying by, or the sound of a dog barking. Number 2, smell. Say 2 things you can smell. It's okay to move to another spot and sniff something. If you can't smell anything at the moment, or you can't move, then name 2 of your favorite smells. Number 1, Taste. Say one thing you can taste. It may be the toothpaste from brushing your teeth or the flavor of your bubble gum. If you can't taste anything, then say your favorite thing to taste. Take another deep belly breath to end.
So the purpose of this grounding technique is to get you out of your head and out of your thoughts and bring you back into the present moment. Once you get out of that sympathetic nervous system loop, you're able to function and think better. But if you stay in that loop, you hyperventilate and you get upset and nothing works. So these are just some really great calming techniques to help when you find yourself really stressed, because you're not going to be able to grab any information or do anything if you're stuck being stressed. So that's my presentation.
Well, thank you very, very, very much for that wonderful talk. You gave us a lot of good ideas. And we hope that this recording will be able to be put up on our website. So people who weren't able to come today can check it. I think I'm going to take the recording off at this moment.
I think I also sent you the PowerPoint.
Oh, that would be great. That would
No,
be
I did already. So you can share the PowerPoint directly. If not, I can send it again.
Well, I thought where you started record, you could stop the recording. I swear, every time I get to Zoom, they seem to put stuff in a different place. I don't need a transcript of it.
Stacy's awesome.
Where it did,
On the bottom, it says record.
well, oh, here it is again, stop recording. Again,